What's going on, guys? Today is a video I have thought on so much. It's going to be my top 20 roller coasters. If I thought more about this, honestly, I'd probably change more spots. I know you guys are all going to argue with me, so let's do that in the comments constructively, hopefully. But I'm very lucky to have a diverse coaster collection. I've gone all the way to California as well as to New Jersey with Six Flags Great Adventure. So without further ado, I'm going to kick off my top 20 roller coasters list. Alright, coming in all the way at the number 20 spot is going to be Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. Now, I really enjoyed this ride more than I anticipated to. It has a really unique layout, and also I love how beautiful it is. Like, looking at the shots of this ride is absolutely beautiful to film. And you know, even though it did have a little bit of rattle, I know I'm gonna say that word probably about 10 times in this video. You guys can hate on me for it, but even though it did have a little bit of rattle, it was still a very enjoyable ride, and I really liked that at Knott's Berry Farm. I wasn't expecting too much out of this ride, but it definitely delivered and definitely is beautiful to watch. Alright guys, coming in at the number 19 spot, this is going to make so many people mad, and I'm already ready for it. I had this above Millennium Force last year, but it's going to be Diamondback. Oh my goodness, I'm dead. Anyways, honestly, I didn't find this ride to be a very good hyper this year. I mean, it's one of the worst rattles I've ever been on. And it's not even that ruins the ride. Just after doing that, you know, and after thinking about Nitro and how Nitro has that extra helix that at least, you know, gives it a little bit more of a buffer, I don't think Diamondback's as special anymore. I mean, maybe if I thought about this list, it wouldn't be all the way back here at 19, but I don't know. I just don't feel it anymore. I don't think the ride is that special anymore. So yeah, that's Diamondback all the way at 19. I'm sorry. Alright, if you are not too triggered by Diamondback being all the way at number 19, and you are still in this with me, I'm going to move on to number 18, and that is going to be Manta at SeaWorld San Diego. This was really a surprise for me. It was my first Mac, and you know, there's no inversions or anything, but this ride, it just blew me out of the water. You know, even if I would have come in this with high expectations, it was still very good. I came into this thinking, you know, we're going to SeaWorld, my mom wants to go to SeaWorld. I guess it's a credit, but it was very, very cool, and I really enjoyed the ride. I did it 3 times. I thought it was very good, and also very, very unique. It's just an amazing ride in general. There's some airtime on it. I mean, it's a unique layout, really. It's not too long of a ride, but it is definitely an enjoyable ride while it lasts. All right, coming in at the number 17 spot is going to be the world's tallest roller coaster, King Decock. Now, I did like this ride, really. And it's just, I rode it closer to the front, so I didn't think it was rough. It was just like, there's so many arguments about King Decock versus Dragster, and honestly, I thought it'd be closer than it was. But literally, after I hit the brake on that hill, I was like, yeah, Dragster is better. Not even trying to be, you know, not even being a Cedar Point fanboy or anything. I just think Dragster is better. I did make a video on that if you guys want to check that out. But this ride just wasn't as good as I thought it would be. So that's why it's all the way here at the number 17 spot. And yes, Dragster will obviously be a lot. Honestly, probably too much, but way ahead of this ride. Alright, I've really debated on whether to put this ride ahead of King Decock. It's going to be Bizarro. Now, the reason I think I like this ride so much is that it just blew me out of the water. Having only been on the floor of this Rougarou, I really did not expect this ride to be that amazing. And I think it was just so underhyped for me, even though a lot of people say it's good. Just when I went to Six Flags Great Adventure, I wasn't expecting, you know, the ride to be this good. So that's why this ride is this high on the list. Bizarro is an absolutely amazing ride. It is definitely smooth. The versions, I like the flow and the design of it, even though it's the same as Scream. It's just, it's definitely better than Scream. Scream has square wheels or something, but Bizarro is definitely an amazing ride and definitely a must ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. Alright, coming in right above Bizarro, the number 15 spot is going to be Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. Now, I expected, honestly, a lot of this ride because I had heard about how amazing it was. I think in my mind I made a GP mistake and I confused this with Gold Striker, honestly, but it doesn't matter. This was still a very great ride. And if I had to say anything, it would be a combination of the Beast and the Voyage. By the way, neither of those are on this list because I haven't ridden Voyage and the Beast did not make the list. But that's just how I feel about this ride. It was definitely amazing. It felt like a long ride. It wasn't as quick and intense like a GCI normally is. It felt more spread out, even though it was a long ride. You know, it just wasn't as intense as I was hoping, but it's definitely a great ride that deserves to be in the top 15 on my list. Alright, coming in right above Ghost Rider at the number 14 spot is going to be the last invert on the list, and it is going to be Banshee. Yes, I do think Banshee is a lot better than Diamondback, but that's why it is above Diamondback, and I think Banshee is just an amazing invert. Yes, sometimes it can have a slight rattle, but I love the layout. It is spread out, but it is still a lots and lots of inversions. The inline twist near the end is very, very special on this, or not special, but it is amazing. You really do feel like you're coming out of your seat. So that is why I love this ride, and that's why this ride is at the number 14 spot on this list. Alright, moving right along, trying not to make this video too long. At the number 13 spot is going to be Full Throttle. Now, I didn't expect, a lot of these rides really blew me away because I didn't have too many expectations. At Magic Mountain, I did not expect much from this ride, but the launch was actually pretty forceful, and maybe that's because the guy said 5, 4, 3 and then hit the button, and I wasn't expecting it, but this definitely was fun. I was sitting next to a guy who had glasses on and looked like Coaster Studios, but the loop definitely has some hang time on it, and it's just an all-around fun ride. Yes, the brakes on the drop do suck, but it was definitely a fun ride, and that is why it is at the number 13 spot on my list. Number 12 is going to be Nitro, and this will be the last B&M Hyper on this list. Now, really what sets this apart, of course it has a standard B&M airtime, but other than the hydraulic launches and a few intense moments on other rides, this helix is what defines what is intense for me. It really, if you have your hands up, I just felt the force pushing my hands down and all against me. The G-forces on it are insane, and that is really why I love this ride, because that is what makes this unique from other hypers. Also, there's no rattle on it, so, or at least as when I was on this ride, there was no rattle on it. There may be one now. I'm just, I'm going to concede that possibly. It is B&M, but I definitely liked this ride, and I definitely think it deserves to be number 12 on this list. Coming in at number 11 will be the last ride from Kings Island on this list, and the last GCI on this list, and is going to be Mystic Timbers. I remember going up this chain lift, I was like, dude, I can't believe I'm finally on this. Honestly, I was not hyped for the ride at all until I was actually going up the lift hill. I remember my friend telling me it was a really great ride, and I just enjoyed it. The shed, it is what it is, but other than that, the ride is a very good ride. It does feel rather quick, if I may be honest here, but the drop is very good, and the airtime and really, the S-curves are insane. Like, honestly, I wish they would have put more air times on it, but when you're just going through the S-curves on the ride, it is insane. I looked ahead of me and just saw people's hair flying as we went through the S-turns, and it was really funny. I started dying laughing. It was hilarious because I knew the person who was in front of me, but it was really funny, and I really do like Mystic Timbers, and it is very smooth for a wood ride. Just making the top 10 is going to be X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I do not care who you are. I do personally think this ride is very rough. It's definitely better than the 40 free spins, but I think this is the coolest ride I have ever been on. I am really, there's something when you don't study the layouts of rides before you go on them and then you actually get on them that just makes it so cool, especially when when this ride flips and you don't know when it's going to happen. I was literally on call with somebody, my phone was in my pocket, and they just said, dude, we heard you screaming so much. It was crazy. I did not know when it was going to flip me, and it's just so cool. The concept is cool. Now, unfortunately, there is some parts where you will bang your feet onto the rest beneath you, and that is a little bit painful, but other than that, this ride is one of the coolest rides I have ever been on, and that is why I really like it. So that is why it is in the top 10 on this list. Alright, at the number 9 spot, this may shock some people, but it's actually going to be Gatekeeper. I really do like this ride, especially when it's walk-on. I mean, the fact that this ride can be walk-on is amazing. By the way, if you're looking for a time frame where it might be walk-on, I would say after 3 p.m. That's when everybody's sort of headed towards the back of the park, which is where Maverick, the wait for that is insane. But if you go up front, Gatekeeper may be walk-on. And when you can just marathon this ride, it is absolutely amazing. I cannot remember if it is the back right or the back left, but that ride has the craziest drop if you are in one of those two seats. The feel is just absolutely amazing. I cannot remember. If somebody knows what I'm talking about, you really have to either be on the back right or the back left to experience it, what I am talking about. It is an amazing drop and an amazing ride. Yes, probably one of the best rattles on the planet, but the car is very heavy, so I'm honestly, I'm not going to pretend like I act like I know what causes rattles, but it is amazing, and I really do like this ride. It is definitely a must ride. Honestly, Valraven's not on this list, so I definitely think this ride is way better than Valraven. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. Now, guys, I'm sorry, I don't think this ride is talked about enough. I think this is close to being on par with Maverick. I don't think Maverick's launch is way better to make it to where Maverick is way better. Obviously, I haven't even talked about Maverick yet on this list, but I don't think these rides are as far as people realize. If I can be honest, I feel like going through those double corkscrews on Fahrenheit is almost as better as the 2 horseshoe rolls on Maverick. But anyways, there's only one airtime moment on this ride, so that is why it does fall behind. And the vertical lift is very cool, but obviously it is behind Maverick, but I don't think they are, Maverick is as much better as people say it is. But Fahrenheit definitely deserves some credit, and it is definitely a good ride at an intimate blessed park known as Hershey Park. So that is why Fahrenheit is on this list. I definitely believe is it a great ride. Alright, coming in at the number 7 spot is the one flyer that no matter how much you love Vekoma flyers will make you realize B&M flyers are better. It is going to be Tatsu. Now, I have been on Superman Ultimate Flight, and I was expecting sort of a similar experience, but I did not get that. Obviously, the pretzel loops are both insane on both. By the way, I've never grayed out on any ride, and I still have not on this ride. So hopefully, one day. I just want to see what it feels like. But this ride was definitely intense. The layout is definitely unique, and I definitely do like this ride. That's why it is all the way up here on this list. And also, it's just very unique. Superman's been cloned tons of times, but this ride is very nice. I love how it uses the terrain. You go up the lift hill on a mountain, and then you come out, and you are just way higher than everybody underneath you, and the mountain just sort of dissipates. I was waving to the people who were waiting in the line for the water ride, too. It was absolutely hilarious. But this is definitely a great ride. Just missing the top 5 is going to be Storm Runner at Hershey Park. Yes, this is a great ride. I absolutely love it. I love hydraulic launches. I love the inversions afterward, no matter how weird that dive loop is that they call something else, because it's just, I don't know what it is. It is a great ride, but it's just not good enough to be in my top 5. I did enjoy it. It's just, it's smaller. It doesn't feel as intense as, another hydraulic launch that hasn't been mentioned yet. But I don't know. It's definitely a great ride. Definitely better than Fahrenheit. Definitely a good Intamin. And it was amazing to have been able to walk on this as many times as I did. I don't think it's worth being in the top 5. It is definitely an amazing ride. Do not get me wrong. I love this ride. But it did not make the top 5. Let's go ahead and move on into the top 5. Coming in at the number 5 spot is the ride that literally would have had its fan base come at my house and destroy it like a bunch of kids on Adderall if it wasn't in my top 5, is going to be the Rush to the Sky Sky Rush. Now, I don't know why I'm so enthusiastic about this ride. It was sort of, overhyped for me, but the airtime is definitely amazing. And it definitely, it's a rattle. Anybody who's been on it recently will tell you. But the airtime is still amazing. The layout is amazing. And the fact that it's the prototype wing coaster, it's not something you can do every day. I remember going up the lift hill thinking, this is what my best friend said his number 1 was as going up. And, my curiosity has brought me here. And then next thing I know, I'm getting thrown over the top. So it's definitely a great ride. Do not get me wrong. I don't see the intensity. And that's probably because I am very strong to G-forces. Like I said, I have never grayed out. Like I said, I was looking for little fishies and looking for girls while I was on this ride. So not trying to be a player, just keeping eyes peeled. But anyways, on this ride, I was analyzing the ride and I was looking around me. So that is why I don't think it's intense. On Nitro's Helix, I have to be focused on that ride during that. But, this, my head could sort of, wander and think. So that's why I don't think this is as intense as everybody says. Coming in at the number 4 spot at Cedar Point is going to be Millennium. Now, I have been on this ride so many times that I think I have a respect. It's sort of like Taylor and Intimidator 305. Once you get on it a while, or a lot of times, especially when you go and it's walk-on and you do it so many times, you really gain a liking for it. Honestly, I used to think after this drop, the ride is basically over. There's that one hill that, if you're lucky, you'll get some floater. But on the other 2 hills, there's some decent, one of them's got flowjector, and then the other one's just straight ejector because it's a small speed hill. But, the very last overbank, you just whip right through it. And you might on some of the others, depending on the day you go. But this ride, it is good. It is in my top 5. I don't want to overhype it for some people because I can definitely see how some people say this ride is overhyped. So I'm just going to, sit here, chill out, drink my G Fuel, and make videos. But this ride, it's good to me. Alright, moving on to the top 3, and hopefully being less annoying, is going to be the one RMC I have been on, the one that I felt, you know, had the most variety except for the wave turn. It was slightly overhyped because to me this ride wasn't intense at all. If you asked a fan who I was on this with, you know, he was like, my reaction is priceless because I'm like, whoa, this is sort of cool, but you know, it's not intense, you know, enough to make me shut up. But anyway, why don't I just say what the ride is? It's going to be Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now this ride, the airtime in this ride is not even what I expected it to be. Obviously there's that ejector hill, but there's those tiny hills honestly did not give me as much airtime as I expected, and neither did that double down. That was a pretty big letdown for me. And if I may be honest, I prefer the 0G roll way more than the 0G stall because I feel like you're getting whipped around more, where on the 0G stall it's like you get whipped around, you're like, oh, I'm just looking down, and then you whip right back. So I mean that's just personal preference for me, but this definitely was a good ride. I love how you go through it twice. Some of the GPs still don't know how it works, but it is amazing, and I definitely really do like the ride. Coming in at the number 2 spot, look, I'm not going to change. I like what I like. It is going to be Top Thrill Dragster. Now, this is not because I'm just an Intamin fanboy and I like hydraulics, alright? Pause for 5 seconds if somehow you managed to stay through this video that most people are just going to call AIDS. This is what made me an enthusiast. I remember getting on it the first time and feeling that hydraulic launch, and immediately after, I would spend probably hours upon hours every day just watching straight up videos of this ride. It was just so amazing to me that I had to figure out how it worked, and I had to do so much extensive research, and it is through that I became a coaster enthusiast. That is why I have so much respect for this ride, and that is why I lose my breath screaming out of enjoyment on this ride, and that is why I have probably about 20 gigabytes of footage on this ride. I just find it so interesting. Anybody who knows me knows it. That is my ride. But it is on the number 2 spot. It was on the number 1 last year, but I flipped number 2 and number 1, so we're going to take a look at what happened. So Dragster is great, will never get old, but as soon as I throw my respect for it out of the way, I'm sitting here thinking, it's the season is over. What ride do I wish I could be on more than nothing? And that is going to be El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride, I knew this was going to be great when I went. I did not know it would be my new number 1. I knew I was looking forward to King Decock and this ride, but this ride blew me away way more than King Decock did. The airtime on this ride is superb to me. The Rolling Thunder Hill is something that I honestly thought would be painful, just looking at the videos on the amount of airtime it gave. But it was not painful to me, and this ride is my favorite ride. I do not know when I will have the chance to get out of Ohio and go all the way back to it, but this is definitely my number 1 ride. And I can those of you who love this ride can definitely see it too. I am very glad it won the best Woody because it is an amazing ride. Alright, let me explain to everybody because I can already hear your questions. No, I have not ridden Fury still. Okay? That is why it is not on the list. Neither have I done Lightning Rod or other RMCs that you may think should be every ride on this list basically. I do have some honorable mentions real quick. I have one actually. And the Beast at Night. I'm sorry it did not make this list. But the Beast at Night is the best coaster experience I have ever had. So that is why, you know, it's an honorable number 1 because it's not the best coaster because, you know, obviously it's not just going to be the best in one, you know, setting, but the Beast at Night is the most amazing thing ever. I put my hand, I could not see my hand in front of my face. And it's just, at that point, you completely forget what the ride layout is, and it's very cool. But if you guys have made it through the video, I want to say thank you guys so much. I'm sure it was very triggering, but thank you for making it to the end. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.
And if you want it, a smooth ride, here's a little surprise, baby, because I am not calibrated, they're a little overrated, everybody's looking at you. Wanna find the peace of mind that everyone is looking for, you might as well just find a different crew. And if you want it, a surprise, here's a little advice, baby. Don't go looking for it, everyone will know you're boring, never sure it's snoring when they're looking at you.